On December 30th, 2009, finance executive Shele Danishefsky got a keratin straightening treatment for her hair like she had done countless times before. She knew the rules well. The biggest was not to get your hair wet for 48 hours. Yet not even 24 hours later, she would be found dead inside her Manhattan apartment, with her hair down, lying in the bathtub full of blood-stained water. Police initially believed it to be a tragic accident, but in the days that followed, those that knew Shele sensed something was amiss. What followed was a botched investigation full of bombshells and shocking discoveries, and police would receive crucial help to catch the killer from an unlikely source. Shele Danishefsky was born on July 13, 1962, into a large Orthodox Jewish family. She grew up in a loving household, had a lot of friends, and exceeded academically. After college, she got a job at the finance heavyweight Merrill Lynch. Over the years, she made herself a highly successful career in the predominantly male world of finance. In 1996, when she was 36, she attended a Jewish singles party that changed her life. Sparks flew when she met 25-year-old stockbroker Roderick Kovlin. They had an instant connection and began a whirlwind romance. And after just 6 months, they got married. 2 years later, they welcomed their first child, Anna. But after a few years, trouble began to slowly arise. Rod lost his job and never got another one. He became obsessed with playing backgammon and had immature dreams of becoming a professional. And he became comfortable with the privileged lifestyle Shele had worked so hard to earn for the family. It was difficult on Shele, but it was nothing compared to his behavior following the birth of their second child, Miles, in 2007. Rod became verbally abusive, and on their 10-year anniversary, when Shele rejected his idea of an open marriage, he saw other women anyway. Shele found out after Rod left his computer open to an email exchange between he and one of his many mistresses. Shele was hurt, but she knew her worth and immediately began the process of separating. She didn't want to make things difficult for their 2 young children, so she paid for Rod to stay in the property directly across from her apartment in the highly sought-after Dorchester Towers that they lived in. She continued on killing it in the finance world and connecting with friends, while Rod continued being a bum and taking money from their joint account only to lose it in backgammon. On Mother's Day 2009, shortly after the separation, they went on a family outing to the botanical garden, where Rod exploded into a terrifying episode of anger, screaming at Shele. She would later tell close friends that she was scared of him, and she filed for divorce later that week. In July of 2009, during one of his visitations with the children, Rod failed to bring them home on the agreed-upon time of 9 p.m. After she was unable to reach Rod for hours, Shele called police. Officers recalled her sobbing that night, telling them how scared she was. The 2 kids would finally be returned to their mother around 5:30 in the morning. Rob had used his children in a despicable attempt to shatter Shele's character. He had taken them to a nearby hospital and tried to coach their 2-year-old son to say his mother had been abusing him. There was an investigation, and Shele was swiftly cleared. The judge, along with everyone else, saw through his pathetic attempt and ordered that all of his visits be supervised. Not long after, Shele resorted to getting an order of protection for herself and her children. After Rod got so angry, amidst his screaming, he got physical and pushed her down onto the ground. She was scared for her life because he often bragged about his experience in martial arts to anyone that would listen. However, the order of protection would only enrage him more. During this time, they were going through the process to separate. They had signed religious documents making them separate and able to date others, but legally they were in a bitter custody battle. When the topic of child support came up in court, Rod told the judge he was unable to pay, and the judge demanded that he could no longer spend money on backgammon tournaments. This would make Rod's rage and resentment towards Shele grow immeasurably. By the fall of 2009, Shele had moved on and was messaging people on a Jewish dating site. Rod was messaging with anyone who was interested and meeting women in person whenever possible. But little did Shele know, he was also monitoring her. He installed a keyboard tracker on her computer and had hacked all of her accounts. He knew everything that she was up to. She didn't know he was monitoring her, but she did know he was becoming more erratic and his temper still scared her. She told her sister he couldn't control his temper and she was scared something bad could happen. And on December 31st, 2009, something horrible happened. At 7 a.m., their 9-year-old daughter found her mother face down in the bathtub full of bloody water. After calling her father, Rod rushed over, where police were called, and while on the phone, he stated that he pulled her from the tub and attempted CPR, but it was too late. Shele was gone. Moments later, police arrived with EMTs. Well, it was determined that she had been gone for some time. Rob had theorized to police that because there was a cabinet door above the tub that was open and missing a top screw, it appeared like she had slipped and tried to hold it but fell back and hit her head. Shockingly, police not only agreed that probably happened, but they didn't process the scene as a potential crime scene at all. Furthermore, police would note that despite having just pulled an adult from a tub full of water by himself and doing CPR on them, Rob's clothing was completely dry. The police allowed a man who claimed to be a rabbi clean the scene where she was found, and because of religious reasons, there was no autopsy, and Shele was put to rest in Jewish custom the very next day. However, suspicions began mounting quickly. The night before Shele was found unresponsive, she had told friends that she had arranged a meeting for the next day to take Rob out of her will. Also, strange to family, was the day of her death when they were at the apartment. It seemed her phone and purse were missing. Yet the next day when they went back, her purse was by her bed, as was her phone, plugged in and charging. It was as if someone took them and then returned them. Her sister said Shele was not someone who often took baths, and noted the crime scene photo, there wasn't a towel nearby like you would have if you were taking a bath. And when Shele was found, her hair was down. Most women, if they don't want to get their hair wet in a shower or a bath, they'll put a shower cap on or tie their hair up or clip it. However, it appeared Shele hadn't done any of those things. But the family would soon get news that would elevate their suspicions to a level that would push them to do something extreme. When they got her death certificate, it stated her cause of death to be undetermined. This, along with mounting suspicions, pushed them to allow Shele's body to be exhumed and have an autopsy performed. And 4 months after her death, her manner of death would be changed to homicide. It was found that she died from compressions to the neck. Family and friends of Shele immediately suspected Rod, but years would go by without any arrests. However, he would be closely investigated. It was discovered that the night before Shele was found, he was across the hall in his apartment playing backgammon with an online girlfriend until 1 a.m. It was at that time that he told her he had work to do. And at 4 a.m., he's seen on the lobby on his way to a convenience store. He asks the doorman if he wants a snack, and he declines. But after Rod's persistence, he says okay to a candy bar. This was incredibly bizarre because he never spoke to the doorman like that before. You can't help but think he was trying to establish an alibi of sorts. He would go back online around 4 a.m. telling his girlfriend he didn't get any work done and had actually fallen asleep. After Shele's death, Rod wasn't given custody of the kids, and he would find out that a month before her death, she had removed him as the primary benefactor on her life insurance policy, instead making it their 2 children. But that didn't stop his attempts to get the money. He moved into his parents' home where the kids were now living. Still unemployed, he took over $80,000 from their college fund, and when his parents called him out on it, his signature rage erupted. He confided in his girlfriend Deborah at the time that he wanted to kill his parents. He concocted several plans, one involving trying to get his daughter to put rat poison in their food. His behavior was getting worse, his outbursts scarier. He assaulted his own mother, pushing her and knocking her to the ground. His plans to kill his parents, however, were paused and put on the back burner when the investigation into Shele's murder finally began closing in 2015. He made a plan to get the money quickly by kidnapping his daughter and taking her to Mexico to pay someone to marry her, just to access the money. But ultimately, he decided to make a last-ditch effort to get the police off of him by writing a note on his daughter's computer pretending to be her and admitting to accidentally killing her mother. The note was absolutely disgusting and clearly fake, and on November 1st, 2015, he was finally arrested, nearly 6 years after her murder. The evidence against him was overwhelming, but mostly circumstantial. The prosecution got evidence from a surprising source, Rod's own girlfriend. She had witnessed his temper firsthand and had been secretly recording him for some time, including the times he discussed how he wanted to and planned to kill his own parents. His trial was in 2019, and he was finally found guilty and convicted of second-degree murder, and he was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.